Who's ready to win the day in sports? I know you are. Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com, Monday through Friday, noon to 1 p.m. Eastern. I'm Justin Fensterman, and let's break everything down from a fantasy sports perspective.
What is going on, everybody? Good afternoon if you are on the east side of town. If anywhere else, good morning to all of you. My name is Justin Fensterman, and welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily here on the Elite Plus Network, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Give me a follow on X and Instagram at Fensty Sports, FENSTY Sports, and in our Discord at FantasyGuru.com, just Fensty, at Fensty, FENSTY. Great time to be a sports fan. I say it every week, and especially this week. Got a lot cooking up at the site. Football ongoing. As you know by now, we've been talking about it for those out there that want to go all in when it comes to the NFL for the rest of the way, and that includes everything that we have to offer from a season-long fantasy standpoint, from a DFS and betting. Boom. That's how you get involved right there. There's where to contact to make sure you can get your plan and become part of the Elite Mafia. $160 the rest of the season. And again, that's not just for the season-long content. That's everything that we have to offer. Still plenty of season left. For those that are struggling in their season-long leagues, let's pivot a little bit and talk DFS, betting. We've got a whole lot going on in our Discord. And make sure, by the way, if you're part of FantasyGuru.com, you are part of our Discord. It is very important. It's an extension there that you can chat with us, any kind of updates, live bets, which are, by the way, even though we put them in Discord, they are transposed onto the site. So you got to remember that if you want something live and you need something at the moment, that's where to find us right there. And that's how you get involved with all of us, a very large, active community that we have in Discord. Got a lot to talk about today. A laundry list of things. First of all, Game 7. Come on, as sports fans, who doesn't love a good Game 7 when it comes to Toronto? And I feel so bad when it comes to the Mariners. I wanted to see it so badly. I did not think that at the end of the day, Julio Rodriguez was going to strike out. I actually thought he was going to walk, and we were going to see some major drama with the dumper, with the game on the line, the series on the line. And no, instead, the Toronto Blue Jays, congratulations to all of the Canadians out there. The Blue Jays go to the World Series. Hopefully, it will be a series like we saw all those years ago in 1993? Joe Carter off of Mitch Williams. I remember that. In fact, one of my first athletes I've ever produced for, because I used to be a radio producer way back when, was actually the Wild Thing, Mitch Williams. And he was great. He'd be on the air and he'd be having his dip in his mouth, just spitting every time he talked and everything. I did a show with him and Rico Petrocelli, and how honest he could be, because this was before everyone became everything with PC or careful about what they said about other athletes, because everyone's got a camera, everyone's got a microphone on you. You have to be careful, especially when you are a public figure, because the tabloids, the headlines, the paparazzi, TMZ, they are all looking to get paid and to get that critical info. So now everybody is a lot more careful, trying to play nice for the most part. But Mitch Williams wasn't one of those guys. He said it as it was, and it was awesome hearing some very honest and essentially raw emotion from him, from what he was seeing from the game at the time. This was back in 2010. So I'm excited to see the battle of the Blues between the Dodgers and the Blue Jays. So hopefully that one goes the distance and they give the Dodgers a run for their money. I'm sure most people that aren't part of Dodger Nation, that just about everybody else, whether you have skin in the game or not, you're going to be probably rooting on the Blue Jays right there, just so everyone can make fun of the Dodgers. Ha, 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 ha. But that's fun with Game 7. One of my favorite Game 7s of all time is in the MLB, is the World Series in 2014, the Royals taking on the Giants. And that was when pretty much Madison Bumgarner put the entire team on his back the entire postseason and was able to lead them to victory. I didn't root for either team, but me being the sports fan that I am, I remember just watching with my friends and my heart started racing. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? I don't root for either one of these teams. The Royals, the Giants, I don't root for either one. But because it was so critical and close in Game 7, one of my friends did have a rooting interest, big-time Royals fan. But still, I was feeling that emotion. That right there, those little moments where game's on the line, 10 seconds to go, you've been invested in watching a game the entire time, and it all comes down to this. It all comes down to one play, one shot, one opportunity. Lose yourself, Eminem. You know where I'm going. That's when you realize why you became a sports fan, when you're feeling that kind of emotion inside. And you never know when you're feeling in your feels, when you can stop and take a look at it or examine it or allow yourself to feel that emotion. That's how you know you're a sports fan. When you get so invested in a game and it has nothing to do with the teams or even maybe the players that you root for, you just like watching those games. I'm going to be looking in the chat with all of you. So with that, guys, see there, hey, what's going on, Harry and Ethan? Great to see you, Harry, Ethan. Awesome to see you guys. I will be taking some of your questions throughout this stream. Now, you're used to seeing Ray Flowers on Tuesdays, me on Wednesdays. This stream, a free stream, noon Eastern, our extension to you from fantasyguru.com. But we need to do the old switcheroo, so Ray will be with you tomorrow at noon Eastern, getting you ready for the mess that's going to be. I love bye. We're going to, oh, the buys. Ooh, oh, my goodness. What are we going to do? It's going to be a monster week. It's going to be crazy week. We got injuries I'm going to talk about. We've got some streamers we're going to have to rely on. That's bye weeks, baby. That's how it goes. The next 3 weeks, you got what? 14 teams off, 6 this week, 4 the next 2. Get ready. Mid-season form. Aggressiveness on the waiver wire. You might need it. Some of your streamers you might not have access to. The pickings, especially at quarterback, are going to be very interesting with 6 on bye and some others that are hurt. We've got situations where with the Jets, we don't know who's going to be the quarterback. It doesn't matter. Maybe it does when you're facing Cincinnati. It's going to be a very interesting week 8 here. We're going to be talking about guys that aren't even on the radar or barely on the radar right now. That's what the fun is, and that's why you're hanging out with us at fantasyguru.com. Now, before I talk about football for the day, for those that know the sports cycle right now, and this is real talk, I give this talk every year, and this talk is about what else we offer at fantasyguru.com. Because for those that are into and interested in finding out how else to win, finding out how else to become a better DFS player, wagerer, then I got to tell you about what we have to offer in the MVP Pass package at fantasyguru.com, where not only you get access to basketball, I head up the basketball content at fantasyguru.com, access to everything that we have, hockey, MMA, racing, PGA. It's pretty much the rest of the sports that we have to offer, not named football and baseball. I talked about the football package just now. And the MVP Pass package. What do we do when it comes to NBA at fantasyguru.com? I've mentioned this to you guys before that starting, supposed to be this week, but then Ray and I to do the switcheroo, but starting next week, and I'm going to be talking a little today about it. Next week, I'm going to be starting to split the show between NBA and NFL. And I immediately know how some of you are reacting. Oh, screw this. F Fensty. X click off. But wait. Hear me out for a second. Just hear me out. Because when it comes to giving opportunities and chances to win and chances to learn things, that's where we got to talk for a second. So real talk there. I'm taking off my hat. You get the full balding brood experience right here, because I'm going to say this as someone that can probably speak for the entire NBA team. Football is king. Everyone loves football. We all love football. Football is my favorite fantasy sport. My favorite sport is the NBA in basketball, professional basketball. That's what got me into sports nearly 40 years ago. That's what's really honed my interest when it comes to sports, and I love all sports, but it all started with the NBA, and for a while when I was a kid, that's all I cared about. Because if there's one thing that I can tell you when it comes to this league, and I know it's people, oh, snake oil salesman, I love this game. And when I say it, I mean it. Look in my eyes. I love the game of basketball. I love it. I love everything about the NBA. I love the chaos. I love when we have the strategy and all of a sudden we have to tear it down because of injuries. It's annoying. It's part of the game. A lot of people, a lot of analysts, they sell picks, they sell plays, and that's it. Here's your picks, here's your plays, and that's it. I can't promise you, like some people do on the interwebs and other services, a 65% clip, a 75% clip. I'm not here to promise you any of that. No. What I'm here to promise you is an experience. What I'm here to promise you is that you ride with the Elite Mafia for a basketball season, you will learn something. You will get more into basketball. We have a very close-knit basketball community at the site. We have betting. We have DFS. We have Discord chats as well every single week, every Wednesday, because Wednesdays for the NBA are normally the biggest slates. So what do? We watch the slate together for part of the night, for a couple of hours, to learn together how these rotations are being formed. So we learn together who seems involved in the offense versus who's just standing there like a statue as a bailout scoring option. When it comes to what we have to offer, besides the tools that I'm going to bring up, all the different NBA tools that we have for DFS and for wagering, we're here for you. We're helping you the hour before lock when it comes to your lineup building or rebuilding after we find out the injuries. We're doing the chats. I have Fensty's Basketball Diaries podcast every single week. The chat and all, and what I can promise you is an experience, and that you have people that are there for you. Am I promising you that I'm going to be throwing 6,000 bets your way every single day? By the time 4 o'clock rolls around Eastern time, you'll have 10 bets. No. NBA is a marathon, and that's how I see it. I'm not here because I care about your subscription. I care about your money. I'm not told by my bosses like Jeff Manns that you must do wagering 6-7 days a week in season. You must do chats every single night. No, I'm not told any of that. I do all that we have to do. And for those that rode with us when it came to the Elite Mafia last year, you saw I do it because you deserve it. I do the Wednesday chat because you deserve it. Because we want to be there for you. I want to be there for you. I want to help you win. It means a lot to me when I have 0-4 nights, and I'm going to have some 0-4 nights. It happens. Am I just, sucks for the subscriber? That's it. No, I'm pissed off. Trust me. And I hear from some of you. And yeah, I don't like it. It's part of the game. I understand it. I know I'm going to make mistakes. I know I'm going to lose at times. But one of the things that I can assure you, you're going to know why I'm thinking about a certain bet, why I'm thinking a game's going a certain way. In DFS articles, you're going to see my analysis. You're going to see my brain kind of working, as scary as they may sound. I am going to show you all my work. You're going to learn something. It's not just a here's your picks and that's it. And for those that want that, that's great. You'll see the picks. But you'll never get better and you'll never be able to get into the flow and learn what exactly you're spending your money on unless you see the work from our analysts, from me. I handle a lot of the betting at fantasyguru.com, a lot of it. You saw me last year. And by the way, not just regular season. From tonight through the middle of June, all playoffs. That's how I roll. My podcast that you get at fantasyguru.com every week doesn't take a break. We're always talking NBA. I'm always talking about it. I'm watching games and writing down notes during these games, and then I'm feeding you guys these notes every single week. I want you to win. I care about you learning something. And quite frankly, I know this is going to make everybody roll their eyes. I care about you having fun. Because that's at the end of the day, you want to have fun with the NBA. I get about 4 or 5 messages at the end of, so far this is 2 seasons in. This is going to be my 3rd season at Fantasy Guru. I've been doing NBA content for websites since 2011. But This is my third season at Fantasy Guru, and the last 2 years I've gotten about 5 messages. 5 doesn't seem like much, but 5 messages saying, hey, Fensty, I hung with you guys with NBA, was rolling with the football crew, and then afterwards hung with you guys for NBA, and love what you guys are doing, love the interaction. It got me into the NBA again like when I was a kid. I love this game. There's no lying in that. You want to put your investments into people that live, eat, sleep, breathe. You probably think, oh, single guy. No, I've got a family. I got 2 young kids. I got to do my fatherly duties there. I understand that. But they also understand, my family too, that this is how this industry works. This is how this business is. And we really, when it comes to the NBA, we're there for you in some form or another every day. Am I guaranteeing bets every day at the start of the season? I'm not. During the week, absolutely. On the weekends, I'll be in and out on Saturdays. Sundays, I do football work for fantasyguru.com until the NFL regular season is over. Sundays are a football day for yours truly. We have other analysts. They can put bets in too. And also, you'll see bets from your fellow subscribers that they're rolling with. This becomes a community. And sometimes I see some of those bets in the chat and I start looking them up. What are some of the things I look up when it comes to betting for those that are thinking about joining? Pace. You ever think about pace of play when it comes to basketball? If you've been riding with the Elite Mafia, you do. And these are not tools that I'm using here. You can go on NBA.com and you can find the advanced stats and look up pace. I've said it for years. Pace produces possessions. I want to take advantage of those teams that play fast, especially the slower teams that are going to get more possessions on a per-game basis when they're used to. Top 10 teams in pace from last year. Memphis, that's not changing. The Bulls, I'm interested to see if they play a little bit slower, but I see Matas Buzelis flying down that court. The Hawks, yes. The Wizards. Wizards have played fast for years. It's so easy. Their defense has stunk. It's so easy to attack them, especially with value plays. It's easy to go chalk against them, yes, but part of it, and Jeff Mans has talked about this on his shows, the Elite Sports Show, 2 p.m. Eastern on Fantasy Sports Radio, Channel 87, Sirius XM. He's talked about this too, in that when it comes to these, we got to start to think differently. A couple of years ago for DFS, and I'll be having a few write-ups per week. It's not only me. It's Armando Marsal, who's going to be joining in just a little bit. It's Scott Bonder, who's part of it. It's Serge Singh, who you'll see on this stream every so often with me. And also Brett Wojciechowski, who's going to be part of it too. So you've got the 5 of us. You're going to have multiple people in Discord throughout the week with you. When it comes to full disclosure, how we handle DFS on slates 3 games or fewer, there won't be a huge write-up, but we will still have Discord plays. We will have Discord cores. And that's why when you're part of fantasyguru.com, it's very imperative that you are part of that Discord. When we have 1 game solo slate versus 2 and 3, outside of that, 4 and beyond, we will have a whole write-up, but we will be in Discord regardless. Does that impact betting? No. Do I know how many bets per night I'm going to be putting out there? No, I do not. But at the same time, that's why I don't want to promise anything. But normally I can find something. Me, I'm mainly a props bettor. With the spreads and the totals, going to try to do a little bit more of those this year. And also, as I kind of started to do last year, a few more unders. But full disclosure on who I am, I'm mainly a player prop bettor that bets overs. And I'm not always looking, and I actually I rarely look at those dominant categories. For instance, if I were maybe looking at someone like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, maybe I'd look at his assists instead of his PRAs or his PRs. You'll see those bets posted on the site. You'll see my analysis with it too. And like I said, it's going to take a few weeks to get to know these rotations. No one can watch every game, but I'm taking notes. I'm watching different teams every single night or most nights so I can make sure I'm seeing this, because when you watch the games, you learn so much. No one in Gen Z or Gen Alpha really cares about watching major tape, but You know what? It's more than just about highlights. It's who's getting the ball, who has the possessions, who's grabbing those damn rebounds, who's tough and not getting pushed out of the lane. I live this. I love this. I wake up every day and I can't wait to see how we can beat DraftKings, how we can beat FanDuel. And I'm not guaranteeing wins every day. I'm not guaranteeing you tens of thousands of dollars or anything like that. But I am guaranteeing you an experience. I am guaranteeing you that you will have a team, the Elite Mafia, that's here, not just dropping in picks and leaving, but there for you, helping you learn, teaching you, showing you, because we have nothing to hide. And it's true, and I've said this before, that when you win, we win. When you win a tournament, even if we're in the tournament together, let's just say we're in a GPP together, you see me in there. You win, I'm thrilled for you. I'm not here to hide anything from any of you. You get everything that I've got, and you get everything that the team has. That's what I can tell you for basketball. There's a lot that's going to change. And yes, I've said this on streams and in podcasts before that I'm really going to try to get that article in early, but you're going to have to check back with it. Because players are going to be ruled out. You're going to see it. Some of it we'll be able to know in advance. Other times we're going to have to pivot. We've been starting to get a little bit better seeing the signs that maybe multiple players are going to get ruled out. And luckily, when it's something like LeBron James, we know that he's going to miss at least a month with sciatica. So we at least don't have to worry about that headache there. Because when you have a guy like LeBron in versus out, that's where we have to differentiate how this team operates. Because when, to me, for the Lakers tonight, Austin Reeves becomes, in the 2-game slate, a very attractive piece. But at the same time with Austin Reeves, you know, when LeBron James is back and he's priced up, yeah, we can still look at Austin Reeves for a couple of games. No one will be on him anymore. But then there's a little bit of worry that goes in there. All that stuff. That's where we come in. And not only that, by the way, and I'll bring this up. I know I've spent a lot of time talking about this too. Oh, I thought I had these screens. I do not. I will have the tools for next week. When you go to fantasyguru.com, I'll tell you this, fantasyguru.com, and you go to the data section of the website and you see the NBA, the basketball data that we have. It has a few different tools that you could use. Tools for props that updates automatically and it refreshes. So you'll be able to see through algorithms where we feel these players are going to end up. And yes, I utilize it as well for helps when I'm also looking up prop research too. I do my own research and then I start comparing to our numbers. From the DFS angle, we've got tools that'll show you ownership percentage. And also one of our bosses, the MLB models, Mike, when it comes to Rob Brink, and one of his favorite tools, that is the Delta Force tool, which shows you pretty much the ceiling that you could get on value. And once the numbers start to populate as we get games in, you'll be able to see who stands out with a higher ceiling, and those will help contribute to the plays. So you're going to have our articles, you're going to have our content, but we also have these tools on the website too. And I'll keep talking about them because every single Wednesday I'm going to spend the first half talking basketball, and then I'm going to get into some football because I know the overwhelming majority. But the big reason I'm doing basketball now, and I'm telling you all of this, is because there are other ways to win at fantasyguru.com. As football is ending and you want more action there in the wintertime, that's where NBA comes in. Because let me tell you what happens, especially for NBA betting. What ends up happening is these numbers for props go up and up and up due to the algorithms, right? Then we hit January, and all of a sudden we start to notice that the numbers are brought down just a little bit. Coincidence? No. These sites want you to play. The bonuses, and I've seen a few of you already like hit me up with bonuses like, you know, Luka Doncic over half a point. Yeah, those are fine. You got to be careful with some of those other bonuses out there that you can enter. You got to just be careful with them, but you're going to get a lot more offered to you. They're trying to woo you. They're trying to get you to be in a relationship with them further and not leave them and go date somebody else. So they're going to bring down the props a little bit. They want you to hit. They want you to hit. And then when they got you, They raise the props up a little bit more as the season then continues post All-Star break. But here's the difference now. It's very easy to read because we've taken advantage of the lower props that even if they're raised up even by one, let's say, for a rebounds and assists, because you're going to see a lot from me of rebounds and assists. I feel like that's kind of my jam. Low points and rebounds and assists separately, or rebounds plus assists. That's really where I hang when it comes to NBA prop bets. Now, something else I'll say too when it comes to those, not all my bets are going to be plus money. There will be some alt-line parlays, and if you are going to parlay, alt-line parlay when it comes to NBA. But some of my bets, or a good amount of my bets, they're going to be minus 120, minus 130 at times. Up the investment a little bit. Yeah, when it comes to those that are measuring in units, yes, loss hits us harder. Understand that. And I know that going in. And I don't want that to take away from me. So yes, just because I put a minus 120, don't be obsessed with chasing plus money all the time on single bets. Alt-line parlays, going to make sure we get them at plus money. The books that I normally go on and use, and these are the books, FanDuel and DraftKings. Those are primarily what I use. If I see a lower line somewhere else where not as many people have access to it, maybe I'll make a note of it in the analysis that, hey, for those that are on X site, I saw it at this number. But I'm going to likely take, unless I really feel like a big time ceiling, I'm going to take the lower number and let you know where it's at. So I'll try to include, hey, would I take the higher number? Yes. But again, I can't promise you a 65 to 70% clip. I can't promise you 6,000 bets. I can't promise you that you're going to leave this season winning $15,000. But what I can promise you is that you get everything we got. Not a day goes by in my life where I don't give it that 100%. I can't operate anywhere else. I can't operate at any other speed. I probably should for my own being, but I don't. Because I want to win, and I want you to win, and I want all of us to enjoy NBA, because the NBA is great, and it's a lot of fun, and it takes a little bit to learn. But you know what? 5 messages a year, and I'll take that to the bank anytime. Better than winning actual money when I hear those comments. Fensty, I learned something this year. Fensty, I had a great time rocking with NBA. That's the truth right there. That I can promise you. A good experience. All right. I've yelled and screamed at you enough. Let's talk football before anybody else gets any more pissed off here. Let's bring in Armando Marsal from FantasyGuru.com. Armando, I'm sorry. I'm just very passionate about basketball. You're part of the NBA team. And, dude, everybody focuses on football, and that's great. But then when January comes and all of a sudden now we're down to playoffs, our fantasy regular seasons are over, stay for freaking basketball.
I listen. I love basketball, dude. I'm looking forward to it. We got tip off tonight. We got 2 games. I know where there's going to be content. I'm going to be in Discord with you guys too, since it's opening night there. But yeah, man, basketball season here. I love the passion. You do. He is not lying, ladies and gentlemen. He literally gives it his 120% each and every time. Fancy and I talk often throughout the NBA season, and I know how much how hard you work at your craft, man. So I definitely
do, man. We all do. You do it too, man. It's not easy. It's just it's not. And the DFS players have to know that. And I was talking about this before. Jeff Mann said it in the voice chat that we had a couple of weeks ago at FantasyGuru.com. We gotta even build cash game lineups differently now. We gotta always now start to think like a GPP player, even for those cash games. And I'll ask you this very quickly, and then before people try to really get me kicked out here for not talking much football, because we're going to talk waivers and everything like that, but it's the start of NBA. Armando, I know right now you're in full football mode. You're fully immersed, but probably starting in January when the year turns, you're kind of back involved on the NBA side. So not specifically for tonight, but just in general, what do you look for when determining core plays? What needs to stand out in Armando Marsal, the mind of Marsal's research?
For me, Fensty, like I look at matchups first and foremost. I like looking at price discrepancies. That's something I place a lot of emphasis on. When I find pricing discrepancies, like I'm going to target those. Sometimes they're more volatile situations. Sometimes they're less volatile situations. I'm chasing minutes, points per minutes. Like I'm very much into how I think the NBA, as far as like you said, you cannot guarantee anything, but you can guarantee like some, or not guarantee, but you can predict and project for some things. Like minutes are very like locked in the NBA, right? Can we control blowouts? No. Can we control injuries throughout the game? No. Can we control changes throughout the game because of an injury, because of this? No, we cannot. But minutes, I'm a big stickler for minutes. And I really don't place a ton of emphasis on ownership in my core because Fancy at the end of the day, like if they're really good plays and they're chalk, it's okay to eat chalk. You can find a different way to get unique with your builds. I don't think you necessarily need 6, 7, or 5, 6 guys in your roster, in your lineup that are, below 10% ownership. I think if you have 1 or 2 guys at, very low ownership, I think that's different enough in tournaments, especially if you're playing single entry. I like to play single entry tournaments. I don't like to play, those massive large field GPPs, like those lottery tickets. I'll do it every now and then for fun, but I look at it as I'm just getting whatever the buy-in is. Let's say it's a $20 bill. You're getting it, you're lighting it on fire, and that's what you're doing with that kind of, buy-in, because it's a lottery ticket at the end of the day. So I stick to single entry. At times I'll do 3 max, but for me, it's a single entry. And with that, I really go with a very chalky lineup and maybe 1 or 2 different plays that most people are not on. It's just basically a pivot at a position for someone who's going to be very chalky that I'm okay to fade that given night. But outside of that, I don't think you have to go overly creative or overly crazy with your ownership here.
No, and you're not. Tonight's a 2-game slate. I will have a write-up on the site. I will also put a little betty up in the section too in our betting DFS or our betting Discord channel. We'll be in DFS, me and Serge Singh tonight, just getting the juices flowing, getting everybody ready. 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Lock, big injuries there. LeBron James for the Lakers, and also Jalen Williams too, because now that's going to bring out some of the other Thunder interest, because Jalen Williams takes a lot of that usage. A lot of those plays are surrounding him, if not Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So that's going to benefit a lot of those Thunder players. But Armando, you put out a ton of content when it comes to football, including right here on the Elite Plus Network, your Mind of Marsal podcast, which comes out multiple times per week. And I guess I'll start here with you, Armando, with 6 teams on bye, and then everyone hurt, it seems like, or we're unsure when it comes to Lamar Jackson, Brock Purdy, Jaden Daniels, McCarthy, Bryce Young, Penix. I mean, we've got all these injuries. When it comes to who we should look to target on the waiver wire for a spot start, a streamer for quarterback, who are some QBs that could be out there that we should be looking to take a shot on in week 8?
Yeah, Jaxson Dart stands out to me as obviously the top pick of waivers this week if you're hurting at the quarterback position or you need a streaming option here. He's flourished in subpar matchups. Like he faced Denver, he faced the Eagles, 25 plus fantasy points in each of those matchups there. Somebody who's just providing a pretty solidified floor. He's showcasing his rushing upside with 50 plus rushing yards in 3 of his 4 games. And at least 1 rushing touchdown in 3 of his last 4 games as well. So someone that you could definitely consider here off waivers. Joe Flacco. I mean, listen, vintage Joe, baby. He's back. He's having to sling it. This is a Bengals defense that's not good. So it's putting their offense in chasing mode all the time. He's someone you can consider here. Other guys I have, Michael Penix. The only thing about Michael Penix that concerns me is I think they could just run all over Miami with Algier and Bijan. So I don't know how much he's going to have to do through the air, but without question is a really good matchup against Miami. And, if he connects on some of these play action plays for, a lengthy touchdown, I think he could pay off. And then I don't know how I've seen a lot of people say that Caleb Williams is out there. If he's out there, he's a streaming. I view him as a top 12 quarterback this week. So if he's out there, he would be the priority play for me. But I just don't know how many leagues he's out there in. But those would be the 4 guys I'm targeting here this week, Fenstein.
You mentioned Miami, and I know that you're a big fan of the Miami Dolphins. You're a very patient man, Armando. I get it. I'm a Jets guy. So when it comes to the Dolphins at this point, because now Darren Waller is hurt, does anybody draw any kind of interest here that are not named Devon Achane or Jalen Waddle? And is there anybody else that we could turn to, especially during the bye weeks? We got 14 teams off over the next 3 weeks here. I mean, is there anyone that can maybe give us like a 10 spot or something in PPR?
I want to say Washington, but we've seen this experiment before, right? So it's like one of those things where You don't. No, I don't want. I wouldn't want to be invested in this offense outside of HN and Waddle. I just think there's so much volatility here, and you don't know what's going to happen with the quarterback situation midway through the game. I know McDaniel came on and said Tua Tagovailoa is going to start this week, but if he struggles against Fence, like what are we doing here, right? Like I don't want to be invested. I think there are so many other options that you can go to on waivers versus going here like to someone like Malik Washington.
Yeah, we were talking about this before. I guess he was one of the prioritized pickups a few weeks ago, and just we weren't seeing that heavy volume that we thought we were going to see.
No.
And it's like it stinks. You're playing a game of chicken when it comes to a team like Miami at this point. It's a mess, and I almost feel bad for Mike McDaniel. Like you see him up there. He doesn't know what to say. We suck. That's really what it comes down to.
Exactly what he wants to say.
He can't say that. He can't. But it's like, his job's kind of on the line. But we suck. That's pretty much what he says every single week.
The funny thing was when they asked him what the game plan is, he's like, yeah, let's just not throw 10 picks. Like, what's the guy going to say? Like, that poor guy has to go up there and, like, show face for a franchise that's just going downhill at a rapid pace. So, yeah, you got to feel for the guy. In all honesty, they got to just clean house here in Miami and start from scratch.
Man.
It's just the way it is.
I like Tua coming out of college too, man. I like that they got him. I wanted to give him a chance, but just even before you talk about his skills, we can look at his skill set or issues with that. Just the health alone, man, the in and out, the lack of consistency with this team, and then going into the playoffs, not having to. I mean, they can't deal with that anymore. You can't build like that.
No, not at all. No, I was not a fan when they drafted him. I wanted them to draft offensive line that I remember vividly that season. I wanted them to draft an offensive lineman in that because they had multiple picks in that first round, and then I wanted them to target Jordan Love later on in that first round. Never happened that way. But yeah, I just Tua. Look, there's a lot of, like you mentioned, the injuries in addition to other deficiencies in his game. And then what for me, like the final, that's it. Like when he came out and blasted his teammates. Come on, you're a quarterback, dude. Like you're a quarterback, you got to take accountability. Like the quarterback is like the manager, right? Like of an office. Like for the most part, in most franchises, that's what it is. And the fact that he came out and I found that to be like, that's it. That was the icing on the cake for me. Like, come on, we're done. Yeah. Ewers season. Let's go, Quinn Ewers. I'm not saying he's the next guy, but I rather just see what we got there,
Yeah, clean house, turn the page. By the way, Stefan asking a question here too, and this is a very great question. Tre'Veon Henderson, I'm sure on multiple waiver wires at this point. And the question I have for you is, for those that don't have him, don't have Stevenson, but have him, is he droppable? Or, I mean, should Stefan look to pick him up? Where do you stand with this guy?
It's difficult, right? Because I'm personally still holding in most leagues. I don't play any shallow leagues though. I play deep leagues. Like, even in my 10-team league, we have I think 25 rosters, but these are deeper leagues. So for me, I'm holding where I can. If you're in a shallow league where you only have 4 bench spots, I totally understand, parting ways. What I like about if he's being dropped in your league is you're not going to have to spend a ton of fab here. I don't think Stefan is going to have to pay more than 3 to 6, maybe at most 8%. I would say if you go with a 5% bid, you're probably going to get him in most waivers at this time. So I would go ahead and put a 5% bid on him this week. I still view him as a stash. This is someone that, they're leaning on Stevenson, but Stevenson has 3 fumbles this year. We cannot forget that. And if there's a costly fumble at some point, we can see him hit the doghouse and Henderson get more opportunities. I know we're waiting on the what if, but for me, this is a what if that could pay dividends down the stretch. And if I can afford to hold on to him, I definitely will. Now, I wouldn't do it at risk of losing games just to stash a player. I would not do that. So just keep that in mind. It really depends on your situation. But if you can afford to hold on to a player that's really not producing right now, I would advise doing so with Henderson.
Well, here's an interesting question for you. I was actually listening to the Elite Sports Show yesterday on Fantasy Sports Radio. Our guy Jeff Mann's hosting it. And one of the things that he was talking about was Alvin Kamara, now with Kendre Miller, out for the rest of the season for the next year or so with the torn ACL. And Alvin Kamara, I mean, from what we've seen, Armando, I'm sure you can agree, he looks pretty washed at this point. Can't really do anything on the ground. We all know he can catch some passes still, but can't really do too much on the ground. Not an effective runner. So you've got Tre'Veon Henderson there, but does someone like a Devin Neal, if he's out there, I mean, who's a more attractive option for those that need a spark at this point and need something in the immediacy?
I would still lean with Henderson here. But Neal is I like Neal as a speculative add. Like in most leagues that he's out there right now, I'm probably going to add him. I don't think you're going to have to pay a ton to get him off waivers. I think he's a really good stash. Ideally, look, Fancy, I rather stash running back. So like for me, if someone asked me that question, I would say both, right? Like that would be my answer, and just cut bait with some wide receiver depth. There's a lot of, like people holding on to Sterling Shepard. There's still a lot of people holding on to Malik Washington. Like I would rather cut one of these kind of receivers unless you really need to start with them this week, and add that running back depth, because I think that running back depth is just so much more valuable, off waivers than the receivers. You can pick up a Sterling Shepard. You could pick up a Malik Washington off waivers pretty much in every league. You can't pick up a potential, guy that's going to start. He's one injury away from, a starting role off waivers. You can't do that too often.
Looking at Tampa Bay, I mean, moving forward here, Mike Evans, it's almost like you almost want, I don't want to say you almost wished he was gone, but the problem is those that have him, they're stuck. Because if he comes back, let's say week 13, 14, whatever around there, I mean, he could still do damage. We know that. But at the same time, so right now for them, that's stuck. And for those that might have only one IR spot, someone else hurt, it puts them in a tough position. But for those that are looking to maybe grab someone from Tampa Bay, when it comes to, because we get asked a lot in our Discord, Armando, we have our waiver wire Discord channel here at fantasyguru.com, how much of their budget they should put. What would you say for those that are looking at guys like Cade Otton, who might still be out there, or Tez Johnson? How much stock are you putting in there? Because I can't forget the fact that Chris Godwin is he's still there. He hasn't been there, but he's still there.
Yeah, these kind of players, Fancy, it's situational for me, right? It depends on what your receiving group looks like. If you're really hurting at the position, you could definitely be more aggressive with your fab with someone like a Tez Johnson or a Cade Otton at the tight end position. But if you're not, you don't have to go overboard. I wouldn't be overspending on a Tez Johnson. He has scored a touchdown in back-to-back games. He had, coming off a pretty solid game there, 45-plus receiving yards in each of his last 3 games. So the production has been there. But like you mentioned, look, Godwin has been missing time as well. He's dinged up. We still don't know what his outlook is in the upcoming weeks. Once he returns, what his role is going to be in this offense. Like Boog playing through that hamstring injury, something we also have to consider here for me. But yeah, I think 3 to 6%, if you need a receiver, I think that's fine on Tez. I think Cade Otton, depending on your tight end situation as well. But if you're hurting at the position, he's someone that makes a lot of sense. We saw it last year with Godwin and Evans sideline. He was much more involved in the passing game. When we saw Baker Mayfield look in his direction often on Monday night there, 9 times to be exact, he led the team in receiving yards with 65. So someone who could continue to see a pretty solidified role there for Tampa Bay with all the injuries. 2 guys, those would be the guys I'd prioritize. I think you could also make a case for Sterling Shepard as well. If you need help at the wide receiver position. He probably won't be as expensive as Tez, given, Tez scoring in back-to-back games there.
Looking at another tight end, that's going to be a very popular waiver ad, but it's on a team that has a lot of targets to throw to. Oronde Gadsden, or as I call him, like a stupid dad joke, Inspector Gadsden. So let me ask you about that, Armando. When it comes to him, we've seen him get heavily targeted now the last 2 weeks. Are we on to something here when it comes to him? Because, again, Johnston played, so he was there, but it just seemed like Justin Herbert, who was just he had people in his face the entire game. But Gadsden, he was able to find short. We're talking about 17 targets in the last 2 weeks. Is that something we should chase?
17 targets, 14 receptions, 21%, 17% target share the last 2 games. I wouldn't be chasing that high-end production. I don't think that's sustainable. Obviously, 164 yards and a touchdown. I don't think it's happening again for him. this season. But what does stand out, 8 targets and 9 targets with Quentin Johnston back. I don't expect 8 or 9 targets on a week-to-week basis, but I do think that he's carved out a pretty solidified role here, anywhere between 4 or 7 targets on the week-to-week basis. And he does have that, that big playability and that touchdown upside there. So for me, if you're hurting at the tight end position and you're dealing with injuries or you've been streaming the position and you're trying to look for maybe a little bit more solidified player, he's someone that you can consider off waivers. Kind of, you look at the role, 8 and 9 targets. He did have it in week 3. He had 7 targets as well. So someone that's had 7, he's played in 5 games this season. He's had at least 7 targets in 3 of those games. So I think there's a pretty decent role here for the young tight end.
It's interesting with this Chargers offense is completely different from what we thought we were going to be dealing with, because going into the season, you're thinking run heavy. Amari and Hampton, very attractive. Najee Harris still there. Have him for a reason. You think that maybe both can get burned and both of them get hurt. And now all of a sudden we're talking about guys like Kamani Vidal, who in a tough matchup, you'll see people not drop, but really start to think less of him because he didn't succeed in a tough matchup. But they've got all these other guys kicking the tires on Keenan Allen. Quentin Johnston was hot early on, but they've got this guy, Ladd McConkey, who has all of a sudden started to bubble up a little bit, man. It just seems like with this Chargers offense, it's been so much randomness that we've gotten throughout the year.
And they're passing at a much higher clip than we expected. I think that's the big surprise here, right? But then you think about it, and you have a really good quarterback under center. You have a good supporting cast. Yes, Keenan Allen is well beyond his prime, but he's still, an efficient receiver there. You mentioned Ladd McConkey, Quentin Johnston, who we know he catches with his body, but he's been productive this year. Gadsden was a talented tight end. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I don't quote me on this, but I believe in one of Jeff's podcasts when he was talking about late round guys in best ball, I think Gadsden made an appearance in that podcast. And somebody who has upside, man. Like, you see it, you're seeing it here. And like you mentioned, the run game here is what's concerned. Like Kamani Vidal, like I agree with you. Don't drop him because he had a bad performance. He still had 14 opportunities like this past week. And like he was the guy that they leaned on as their featured back here. And there will be struggling days with him because matchups or whatnot, and also game environment and game script and things like that will play a role in his production. But there's no question that he is the guy right now filling in for Hampton. So, it's been a weird season for the Chargers because it's been an offense that everyone anticipated run, and they've been pass. So it's fun to watch, though. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I'll say this. I would say for us, for the interim, for the next month or so, and I'm just looking at the matchups here, and you can tell me what you think of this. And we don't have to be so exact. We could just talk about it from a general standpoint. We might have to lower our expectations certain weeks here because Minnesota, Tennessee, Pittsburgh, and Jacksonville. So the big thing is there are going to be a couple of matchups where that point total for him is going to be dropping a bit. But then hopefully in a matchup like the Titans, he could be able to run all over them. And sometimes we have to remember, especially with these running backs who are hitting the scene, when you enter a tough matchup like the Colts have been all year, you have to lower your expectations a bit.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like, that's the way I would view it. The way I handle these situations is not necessarily, what is he going to score for me? It's how many opportunities am I expecting for this player X week, right? And someone like Kamani Vidal, you say 14 to 16 opportunities in a tough matchup, what is the potential outcome, right? And I agree with you. I think the Titans one is one where you're going to want to go out there and play. And then matchups like the one this weekend and, some of the other ones, you say to yourself, is he a flex option for me this week compared to some of the other guys, or am I going to go ahead and play the matchup game with the other players as long as they're getting similar opportunities?
Armando, big time question from Bang Play here. He's saying about Saquon Barkley. You're getting a lot of people that are just absolutely destroyed and worried about Saquon Barkley moving forward because you see a trade like this where trade away Jamar Chase and getting back Kyron and Junkins. And this is on a team that already has like Saquon Barkley and Jordan Nason. I mean, I probably would have to say no to this ultimately, but I can imagine you're starting to see trades like this because there's have to be a bunch of really upset people about Saquon Barkley. Maybe he was burned too hard last year.
Yeah, look, yes, he had a lot of opportunities last year. There was some concerns and some red flags going into this season. He's not producing to the level that he was last season, and I'm not overly surprised, right? But this is not a trade that makes sense. You have two reliable running backs, right now, Saquon and Mason. Yes, they're not. Maybe Barkley's not producing to the expectations that you had for him. But if you make this trade, now you have four running backs in a league where you're only starting three, and then you lose your best wide receiver, and I'm only seeing two receivers here. No,
I didn't even look at that. I was so enamored with Chase. I'm like, oh yeah, who else is there? Oh, JSN. But then it's like you have no depth, real, or you have.
You have 10, this is where you got to ask yourself, right? Like, I'd rather have Mason, Saquon, Barkley, Chase, JSN, and then Tet in my flex versus having to choose every week with that flex option between these, three of these four backs. Like, that's what it's just going to be. And then you're going to have JSN and Tet as your wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2. I'm staying put here. You don't, if you want to upgrade your running backs, sure. But I would do it with pairing up, if you want to, Barkley and one of your, maybe Barkley, McMillan, and then upgrade the running back position and downgrade the receiver position. Maybe something like that would be what I'd be considering. There might be someone out there willing to buy low on Barkley.
Yeah, let's remember, and yes, he's not like the most ideal option. Of course, he's getting older and everything, but Joe Flacco, he's got that veteran experience, and that should provide some comfort that he should be able to hit Chase nicely and everything. So, and beyond that Jets matchup coming up here, where it's funny with the Jets winless, they've been in a lot of close games, yes, but their offense has let it up sometimes. After that, you've got teams like the Bears, the Steelers in there, the Ravens still, and I know with that, it's a divisional game, but still with the Ravens, their defense has been suspect. I mean, it's just at the end of the day, when it comes to Jamar Chase, I'm not saying we should all of a sudden start expecting 30-plus fantasy points every week with Joe Flacco there, but we should feel better about Jamar Chase. And at the end of the day, you could find, like you're saying, you could find a way to piecemeal another offer to get one running back instead of having to trade and get both of those running backs. Because then if Saquon starts producing to the level that we're accustomed to or we paid for with the first round, then that guy in there, bang and play, all of a sudden has a running back, a stud running back he can't start.
Well, yeah, to kind of like add to that, like even if he doesn't go back to, because at this point, I don't think he's going to be that running back that he was last season. I think I think it was fool's gold if you thought that he was going to repeat last season, like especially after all the volume and stuff like that. Like, yes, we're expecting maybe top 10 production, of course, but he's been a top 24 running back in all but 2 weeks this season. He's finished inside the top 12 twice this season. I know those are not the Barkley numbers you wanted, but he still has been somewhat productive in some weeks here. I'm just going to stay put because you're hurting yourself at the receiver position, and I think there's just other ways to make it better here. I think Chase is going to continue to produce high-end numbers. Like, Joe Flacco is going to continue to lock in on him. This is a team that's going to be chasing points, and the volume is going to be there, Fenster.
One more question for you, and that's a running back that's going to be a popular ad. Kyle Monangai, is that someone that you feel, because we see these running back systems where two running backs can be supported and two running backs can be productive, especially during bye weeks and all, but does Monangai to you have any standalone value, or those that truly put an investment in him off waivers should be the ones that have Swift?
I don't think he's going to have standalone value each and every week, Fancy. I do think that there will be some weeks like we saw this week where the matchup is good and they're winning by some multiple scores that he will be involved. But I do think he's a very strong handcuff, right, to Swift. I think if you're a Swift manager, you definitely should be prioritizing him if he's out there. Even if you're not a Swift manager and you have, some room in your bench to add some pieces, I think he's good running back depth, right? Because if Swift were to miss any time at any point, I think that the Bears are very comfortable with Monangai as their guy, and I think he'll assume a pretty solidified role there. So I think there will be some standalone value weeks with him, but I do think regardless, he should be rostered. Another one that's out there a lot, I wanted to mention Tyler Algier. I think he should be added in pretty much every league, and I think he becomes a viable flex option this week for a lot of people against Miami Dolphins. Like, I'm being honest.
That GIF you put of like you like a dog feasting on Judkins versus Miami. Dude, I sat there and I just started laughing when I saw that. And then, of course, I saw him after that appear in Jeff's Core 4. And here's the funny thing about that. It's a deception. It's deceiving his production. We won. We did great and everything. He got in the end zone 3 times, but he got a massive amount of volume. And you'd think he'd have like $150 yards or whatnot. What do you have, like 85 yards on 3 tutties?
Yeah, 84 yards, 3 touchdowns. I think it was 24 or 25 rushing. Yeah. Don't quote me on that, but it was in that range.
I just saw you like that GIF you put out there at mine of Marsal, by the way, on Instagram. Armando's very good with the graphics and everything like that. I saw, like, I forget what exactly it was, like someone like almost like a dog, like.
Oh, it was Phil Collins. It was Phil Collins singing.
Yes.
It was Phil Collins singing. I'll be honest. I'm going to do another one of Bijan this week. I'm still trying to figure out how, but I got one cooking. I've been
waiting for this moment for all my life. I love that so much.
Oh boy,
the internet's fun, man. You know how to win the internet. Beyond mine and Marsal, what do you have coming up at fantasyguru.com for the people?
Yeah, all of my articles obviously are there. They can be found. We got the staff picks coming up. That's Thursdays. I got the snap shares. An opportunity usage report there. I got the red zone usage report coming up. Tonight, roster coach live stream every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. Russell Clay, Tyler Beaker, and myself will be on there. We'll be talking waivers. We'll be answering live questions. So make sure if you have any roster management questions, anything like that, go on there and ask those questions, and we'll help you out there. And then on Friday, I'm going to be joining Tyler Beaker in his DFS live stream. I was lucky to get the invite. So Tyler, if you're watching, thank you for inviting me. So he and I will be talking some DFS this Friday evening. And then Sunday mornings, every Sunday morning, or not Sunday, I say Sunday morning, Sunday noon p.m. Eastern. Catch me and Chris Rose. We do the DFS live stream there, and we answer questions as well as we head into kickoff.
Yeah, right up to lock right there. A lot of content, and we're bringing a lot of heat. And for those that aren't part of the Elite Mafia, there you go right there to get involved. Support at fantasyguru.com. Get involved. Everything we have, football, $1.60 a dollar. I don't want to say $1.60. You said it was $1.60. You're a liar.
Gotta be careful, Fence. You gotta be careful.
I've said that a few times, but you know how people are. They'll be like, hey, Ted Fensty said $1.60, not $1.60. Yeah. No, you see it right there. It's in writing. $160 right there. For me, you're going to get write up a little bit of a shortened write-up for the 2-game slate for NBA. I'll have a bet ski or 2 up there too. Remember, patience. We're just learning about these teams. I'll still have the write-up. I'll be in Discord, in the NBA Discord with Serge Singh tonight while watching the roster coach live stream that Armando will be part of. I'll be answering questions, DFS and betting tomorrow night for the big slate, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern. Watch along Wednesday. I'll be watching the games. I'll just be reacting. You'll get my raw emotion. You'll get my pissed offness during that. And I'll also be talking about what I'm seeing in the NBA rotations. Why? Because we want to be there for you, and because this is an experience. This isn't just picks and leave. This isn't trick-or-treating. You're invited inside the house and to stay a while, because that's what the Elite Mafia does. Ray Flowers back tomorrow, same time, same place, right here on Fantasy Sports Daily, here on the Elite Plus Network, powered by FantasyGuru.com. For Armando Marsal, I'm Justin Fensterman. Good luck, and let's keep on the winning, because that is what we do right here at Fantasy Guru.